News every 15 minutes, weather every 10, and sports twice an hour.
Newstalk, KGVO, AM 1290 and 101.5 FM.
You're listening to Montana Morning with Peter Christian.
Opposition to Missoula's gun ordinance goes statewide. Good morning, everyone. It's Montana Morning. It is Thursday, September 29, 2016. Right now, the sky's mostly clear. It's going to be another beautiful day in western Montana, expecting a high in the low to mid 80s. Right now, we're at 48 degrees in Missoula. Our newscast this morning, sponsored by Western States Cat, offering free local delivery from their stock of over 15,000 truck and equipment parts. Western States Cat, built for Montana. Montana Speaker of the House Austin Knudsen announced yesterday he's in the process of requesting an official opinion from Montana Attorney General Tim Fox on the constitutionality of Missoula's new background check ordinance.
There's a process I have to go through in order to request an opinion. I mean, it's a little more complicated than, I can't just pick up the phone and call the Attorney General Fox and, ask him to write an opinion for me. I have to go through a bit of a process. There has to be a legal memo attached to my request with some arguments laid out with it. So I've got to do a little homework on my end. I'm hoping to have something to his office here this week.
Knudsen said he's been concerned with Missoula's proposed ordinance for over a year now and that the issue may come up in the next legislative session.
The Second Amendment and firearms are a very big deal to me personally, and I think this is an important issue. Anytime you start messing with people's Second Amendment rights, not only under the Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, but also under the Montana Constitution, citizens have the right to keep and bear arms. And when you start messing with that, people get upset. I think there's definitely a possibility the legislature could do something.
No matter what Knudsen puts in his legal memo, Attorney General Fox is likely to take some type of action against the Missoula ordinance, as Fox has already said the ordinance is, quote, prohibited by state law, end quote. A magistrate judge has concluded that a private prison in Shelby is not to blame for the death of a medical marijuana provider who was incarcerated there. U.S. Magistrate Judge Carolyn Osby yesterday recommended the dismissal of a negligence lawsuit filed by the wife of Richard Floor against Corrections Corporation of America. U.S. District Judge Susan Waters must approve the recommendation. The 68-year-old Floor died in custody in 2012 of colon cancer. He had previously pleaded guilty to running a medical marijuana operation in his Miles City home. Sherry Floor said her husband was treated, quote, like an abandoned dog, end quote, instead of being properly cared for at the prison. Osby agreed with attorneys for the prison who said Sherry Floor wasn't able to prove that her husband did not receive adequate medical care. 50-year-old Alphonse Anthony Toto is being held on $1 million bail in the Missoula County Jail on a warrant out of New Hampshire with child sex charges that date back to 1980. Court documents state that Toto is being charged with 15 separate counts of what New Hampshire officials call aggravated felonious sexual assault. Deputy County Attorney Celine Kepke has more.
The state's recommending bail in the amount of $1 million. The defendant here is charged with 15 counts of aggravated felonious sexual assault stemming out of New Hampshire. And while it's a no-bond warrant, the state can't recognize that, but we would ask you to set a relatively high bail given the egregious nature of the offenses.
Kepke asked Substitute Justice of the Peace Shane Vanetta for the $1 million bail to hold Toto in Missoula until he can be extradited back to New Hampshire to face the over 30-year-old charges.
It looks like these events occurred between July of 1980 and June of 1984. Regardless, Judge, I would ask that bail be set at $1 million.
Judge Vanetta ordered that Toto be held in the jail on that $1 million bail or until he could be extradited back to New Hampshire. Toto waived extradition at his Justice Court appearance. Authorities searching for a missing hunter in south-central Montana say they found a man's body. Park County Sheriff Scott Hamilton said yesterday authorities are not able to identify the body and an autopsy is scheduled for today. The body was found dressed in camouflage at the bottom of a cliff during the search for Mark Rollins of Decorah, Iowa. Rollins' wife reported him overdue from a hunting trip. A group of hunters told the U.S. Forest Service officer they'd met a man in his 60s in the Crazy Mountains on September 20th. They said he appeared well-equipped, but they were concerned that he didn't return to his vehicle by Tuesday. The Bozeman Daily Chronicle reports the search began Tuesday and continued yesterday with search dogs and a helicopter. 2 Montana bow hunters were attacked by grizzly bears over the weekend. Fish, Wildlife and Parks Public Information Officer Vivica Krauser said grizzly bear attacks are expected during this time of year.
There's been several. I think the most recent examples were to the north and western edge of Yellowstone National Park, and it's something that you could expect this time of year where animals are out, bears are out and active, hunters are out and being quiet and putting themselves in situations where the wildlife they're hoping to attract is also wildlife that the bears are in tune with.
Bow hunters are especially at risk because of the need for stealth as they try to get close to their prey. Krauser said they need to take extra precautions.
One of those key things is just to hunt with somebody, especially in spots where the visibility isn't great, where you're going to be out for a while. Go with a hunting partner. Also, be sure to have that bear spray handy, so not buried in your pack, but right there within easy reach, because when you need it right now.
Although 2 grizzly bear attacks in one weekend may seem like a great deal, Krauser says the rate of attacks this year appear to be on par with last year. After 3 years, the Montana Supreme Court has sided with the Montana Public Service Commission's decision to reject Northwestern Energy's request to raise electricity fees. Here's Communications Director Eric Sell.
In 2012, there was an outage at the Dave Gates generating station. That was one of Northwestern Energy's power plants in Montana. And as a result of that outage, Northwestern Energy had to purchase electricity from third parties. What they had done is they had requested that the commission allow them to recover those market purchases through rates and charge ratepayers for that electricity.
According to Sal, that equaled to about $1.4 million, and the commission denied that request.
Back in August of 2015, Judge Brad Newman down in Butte had upheld the commission's decision. Northwestern Energy appealed that decision to the Montana Supreme Court, and on Tuesday, the Montana Supreme Court voted unanimously to uphold the Montana PSC's denial of that $1.4 million rate increase request from Northwestern.
Customers were refunded back in 2012, but the Supreme Court's decision ensures that $1.4 million remains out of rates and ratepayers won't have to pay it again. Our News Talk time is 6:12.
News Talk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
Clear skies and mild temperatures this morning as we shouldn't get much below 45 degrees around the Missoula Valley today. Then as we head into the afternoon, high right around 82, so warm again, and we'll see some cloudy skies this evening. I'm meteorologist Matt Gray for the NBC Montana Severe Weather Alert Team.